Ladies and gentlemen, the goose is loose. Welcome back. Hopefully, everybody can actually hear me this time, unlike successful stream number 2. At the moment, I'm showing sound. I heard myself singing along on my other screen, so hopefully we are good to go. And we've got sound, and this time we'll do some Last Epoch. And you know, if you get sick of me talking, as it is very easy to do, you can always just mute Twitch. It's fine. Although don't turn the volume down. Mute the site in your browser, because otherwise you don't count as a viewer. And you know, with my one viewer, I'm making a fortune. But we're going to do some more Last Epoch, and quite a lot has changed since we did the stream. Streamed on Friday. We started this character on Friday. I had a plan. This was my test bed for my 1.0 first cycle character, which launches 21st of Feb, so week on Wednesday. And I had some ideas using 5 skills I've never used before. And some of them I found I absolutely love, and I've invested quite heavily in them, and some of them we've dropped already. So on Friday, we went from level 1 to 12. We talked a lot, we leveled a little. And then Saturday night we streamed for 2 hours, 5 minutes with no audio, and then about 10 or 15 minutes with audio. And we leveled from about 15, because I'd done a bit offline, I think, to about 25, 26, so another 10 levels. I've played a bit more since then, not a huge amount. 3 hours, maybe 4 hours since Saturday. But in that time, I'm up to level 54, which is something I really like about Last Epoch, is particularly going through the campaign. It feels like leveling actually gets quicker as you go. Unlike most games, most sort of MMOs and action RPGs, where the higher the level you are, the longer it takes to get that dopamine hit of leveling up. As you get further into the campaign and into different parts of the game, the density of the creatures on screen tends to get bigger. You tend to kill things more quickly because your skills are working better. You tend to progress through the maps quicker, and then you make experience much quicker. So actually I've had no problem smashing my way through to level 54, and I've been having so much fun with this build. It's almost impossible not to play it in its current format. So I've, on my Last Epoch Tools build editor, I think I'm on version like 14 or 15 of this build. We started out with a simple idea. I wanted to use this skill, Ring of Shields. Never used it before. I wanted to use Ring of Shields. We've got Andy in chat. Hey Andy, how's it going, man? Shouldn't you be on holiday somewhere? I'm staring over here because my chat screen is over here. I'm going to stop doing that, but I will check chat. Welcome on board, mate. Welcome on board. So I started with Ring of Shields. It makes shields all around you, and the shields take aggro and the shields take damage for you, but that's all they do. But they're minions, and that sort of made me think about a minion build. But I wanted Ring of Shields for this node. So I spec'd down here, made it a bit cheaper, but made the shields weaker. Increased my block chance when I've used it recently. I'm not too worried about that because it's got a cooldown of about 14-15 seconds, and the buff only lasts for 4 seconds out of that, so it's not like you've got good uptime on that block chance. But this last node here, Rush Wall, when you use Shield Rush, all the additional shields you have summoned appear in front of you in a line and make it a much wider skill, so you rush across the screen and you smash things. So my idea to start with was, we'll take Shield Rush, we'll take Ring of Shields, and then we'll patch a few other skills in between. What I found from using these two is, first off, I can make Ring of Shields much more impressive. At the moment it's got 5 shields rather than 3, and they stick out quite a long way. But the way I'm building it at the moment, we're going to end up with 8 shields rather than 3, which is going to give us quite a big shield wall. It might be overkill, we might back off from that, but I'm going to try it. I'm going to see where we get to. Someone's in the Republic of Ireland. Hope you're having a good time, buddy. You're up there, aren't you? You're not down there. I hope you're having a good time, my friend, and I hope you had a good flight. At least you got there. I'm not going to ask about your alarm clock situation. So I spec'd into Shield Rush. I found a couple of things, and we saw this on the very first stream. We started using Shield Rush, and one of two things happened. One, when you use Shield Rush, it eats all your mana, and two, it did no damage. Also, it didn't really seem to move me very far. I've been practicing with it, and I realised that if you Shield Rush in a straight line, if you hold the button down, you don't stop unless you hit something. Not a creature, you go straight through creatures. As long as you don't hit a wall, you keep going, and you can go most of the way across a map in one cast of shield wall. And if you do it with 7 or 8 shields out in front of you and they're all smacking things, you do a bit of damage and you annoy quite a few creatures. So we've been playing around with Ring of Shields. I'm not that happy with this node. I like that it brings the mana cost down because I was struggling a lot with mana issues, but I don't like that it reduces the health of the shields. So I've taken a couple of points in here which more than compensates for that, giving them a total of plus 20% health and some physical resistance. I did that to get to this node, which gives me 4 seconds extra duration. So typically the shields last for 10 seconds. Now they last for 14 seconds, which means that this has got a 15-second cooldown, and we're going to put some cooldown reduction into our build as we start to get better gear. So ultimately we are going to have Ring of Shields off cooldown whenever it's necessary. So far I haven't see the shields die to enemies. I kill things quicker than the shields can die. So we should always have Ring of Shields available. We then spec'd up here to get 2 more shields, and I've put 3 points in here so that each of those shields will heal me for 30 health every 6 seconds. So at the moment we've got 5 shields, so we've got 150 health every 6 seconds, which is not insignificant. But we're now coming up here. This node will cause the shields to orbit at a greater distance around my character. It'll go to plus 60%, and I've been playing with this, and that plus 60% does not put me out of the range of the shield's healing, so that's great. I'm not really bothered about this node. I'm not too fussed about rotational distance, although once I've played with it I might find that that's quite useful. I'm doing it so I can get to this node where I get up to 3 more shields, so that's where shield 6, 7 and 8 come from. But each of those makes Ring of Shields more expensive, so it's going to go up by 15 mana. But we've solved our mana issues a little bit. First of all, in Shield Rush, we've upped Shield Rush's damage, we've upped the amount of damage the final hit does, the chance of critical strikes, the damage from critical strikes, and a little bit of damage against full health enemies, and the final hit it does when you stop rushing. But I've now started speccing into here, and I suspect if we get a full 6 out of 6 in here, we might be able to make Shield Rush free. I'm not quite sure how mana scaling works, mana efficiency, but if it's not free it's going to be really cheap. So we are going to be able to spam this every 4.5 seconds, and we should always have our shields up because of the cooldown we've put onto Shield Wall. So we should always have 8, or somewhere between 5 and 8 probably, rotating shields, and we can rush around the map, and every time we do we'll smack everything in sight. So those two skills that I wanted to use together are working really well together, and they're both quite straightforward. Shield Rush now does a pretty decent amount of damage and it travels for a long way, and Shield Wall gives me defense, gives me healing, and also makes the Shield Rush look really cool. Because we've got these minions, I thought I could try and do a bit of a Forge Guard minion build. So I never really thought of the Sentinel, the kind of Paladin class, as a minion build class, because I'd never looked into this tree. But there's 2 other skills that give you notable minions. One of them is Manifest Armor. Now Manifest Armor is the one that summons a set of heavy armor, moves around and attacks quite slowly, but it takes quite a lot of damage. And in its early stages I didn't really like it. You'll notice this skill is lower than all the others because I keep respecking this skill, because I keep changing the way that I'm planning it. but I think I've hit on the way I want to run this. So this summons, it costs 60 mana, but it doesn't have a duration on it. It lasts until it gets killed. And at low levels it gets killed quite easily, but it's starting to get quite good. So I've given it some nodes around here that give it stat bonuses from my gloves, my boots, my helmet and my armour. And when I finish speccing this tree out, it should be at up plus 120%. So all the stats that are on most of my armour pieces will benefit the actual manifested armour even better than they benefit me. And then I've gone right across here, which gives it more health and more health recovery, to here, which gives it a shield, and it's influenced by the shield I have equipped. So the better my equipment, the better this manifest armour. And I'm now starting to work up here, where it'll do 75% more damage, because at the moment its damage is pretty woeful, but it's always there and it's chipping away and it's helping. It'll hurt the health and it'll hurt the armour, but I've got other ways of buffing that, and it won't hurt it as much as the health bonus over here, so the manifest armour is still going to be pretty strong. But the final node up here will give it a sword which scales with my equipped weapon stats, and given that weapons are a high priority item to get good, it's going to make this creature more damaging. So I like this guy, he's cool. Again, we're not going for a powerful min-max build, we're just going for something that's fun, and as hopefully you'll see when we get rolling with this, and we will in a minute, this build is now fun. The one thing that the minion build here is lacking is damage. So the manifest armour is not really doing a huge amount of damage, and it's not going to be doing a massive amount, I suspect, when I finish speccing it all the way up to level 20. I started playing around with Forge Strike, because our original idea was to take the skill Multi-Strike, which is you hit things with swords, and if you hit something with a sword and you've got a stack of armament which you get from hitting something once before, it will throw another sword at a separate enemy somewhere within range of you. And we were going to spec across here, and in fact we did do this, until we were up at Smite. So instead of throwing another sword, it would throw the skill Smite. And the way I originally had this build planned was we were going to use Multi-Strike to attack everything. We were going to use it to proc these smites, not for free, it would pay the mana cost, but we wouldn't have to press the button. And then I would scale Smite as one of my 5 skills that I can specialise in and make it really cool. But 2 things happened while I was trying this out. One is that the Smite looked really impressive, but it didn't do very much. Even if I tried to scale Smite's damage or make it ignite enemies and set them on fire, or if I scaled it purely for healing, the Smite didn't really feel any more impactful than just having the other blades from Multi-Strike. But the thing I really don't like about this is the smites or the alternate swords can only hit targets that are not the primary target. So as we saw in I think the first video, you can try swinging a Multi-Strike away from an enemy but within range of them to get them to be hit by the alternate attack. But it's quite fiddly, and if you're fighting bosses, if you're fighting a single creature, Multi-Strike does very little. You're not proccing any of these things. So another alternative up here was Fiery Justice, which when you get to maximum stacks of armament, and if you spec Fiery Justice that maximum number of stacks becomes 4 or 5 I think, when you hit the 4th or 5th stack it will automatically cast Forge Strike. So that got me looking at Forge Strike and trying to work out what Forge Strike was all about. Not a skill I'd even looked at in my original build plan. The problem with doing it through the Fiery Justice node instead of just casting Forge Strike is Forge Strike costs 25 mana. If you cast it through Multi-Strike it costs 40 mana. And it only casts as soon as you hit that final stack of armament. So I thought maybe this would be good against bosses. We'd be able to hit them, Forge Strike them. But actually, we can cast Forge Strike quicker, with the way I've got it spec'd, and for less mana if we just do it manually. And we can do it whenever we want, not just whenever we hit that 5th stack, which, when you're trying to clear a map, typically happens after you've just killed most of the creatures, and then you'll hit one lone skeleton and use a Forge Strike on nothing, and you've wasted that Forge Strike and that 40 mana. So we went for Forge Strike as a skill we would cast on its own. And Forge Strike, it turns out, is where my damage is coming from. Because when you hit a creature with Forge Strike, there is a chance that it will summon these flaming swords that hit your target. They don't do a lot of damage, but you can summon quite a few of them. So you can summon up to 6 of them. There's a 25% chance when you hit something to summon up to 6 of these forged weapons. So if you hit a pack of 6, you might get lucky and summon 6 swords. You don't. Quite often you'll hit a pack of 10 and summon nothing. But as I started to look at this tree, you can spec into this. So the forged weapons deal a bit more damage. They deal fire damage. But then you can go up here and increase the chance of summoning a forged weapon. So 15% chance on normal hits, and a plus 60% against rare creatures and boss creatures. So an 85% chance if I forge strike a single boss to summon one of these swords. It's only a single boss, only summons one sword. But if I hit a pack of 10 creatures, I've now got a 30-40% chance for each of those 10 creatures hit to summon a sword. So now, much more chance I'm going to get my 6 swords. If we come down to this node, our forged swords last 60% longer, which is brilliant because normally they last 20 seconds. So this is going to make them last, 32 seconds, which is fantastic. So when we summon them, they're going to last longer, so we're going to slowly amass them over time as long as we're still fighting and using Forge Strike. But more importantly, we can now summon up to 10 as a new maximum. And I've taken another skill in my passive tree that lets me summon up to 12. So we can have up to 12 of these swords, and when you've got 12 of these on the go, they melt anything. You can make sure you've summoned 12, pop up your ring of shields, and if you're not feeling like you want to engage in a fight, you can just run around and wait for the swords to decimate the map. It is fantastic. Occasionally you'll be standing still looking at your skills, and all your swords will suddenly rush off screen, and then you'll get a chunk of experience, and when you walk over to see where they went, there's a pile of stuff on the ground. So this skill is great. I've also given a couple of nodes here to cooldown recovery. So this thing now I can cast every 2.7 seconds. I also did this because it gives me extra attack speed with Forge Strike, which is useful, but it gives each of my up to 12 forged weapons 10% attack speed. That's just more damage coming out. Extra 8% damage here. I'd like to put more in this node, but we're not going to have enough points because we put a full 4 in here, or 4 out of 5, to give us, each time we hit with Forge Strike, we put 4 shreds of armor, 4 stacks of armor shred on the enemy. So that means we hit with Forge Strike and their armor gets destroyed, they now take more damage. So by hitting with Forge Strike, especially against bosses, they now take more damage from, hopefully, a load of summoned swords. But the thing I like about this is it takes us to Eagle Strike. Typically when you do normal Forge Strike, you cast it directly in front of you, wherever you're standing, wherever your character is facing. With Eagle Strike, it becomes a ranged spell, essentially. It's still a melee attack, so if you hover over it, it's still got a melee tag on it. It's not a spell, it's a physical melee attack. But I can now cast it anywhere on the battlefield that my cursor is. So I don't have to wait for enemies to come to me, I don't have to go to them, I just hover over them, click the button, and boom. That stuff dies, and more importantly, I hit a big pack, lots of swords get summoned. And we're going to go down here, we're going to increase our damage if we've done a Forge Strike in the last 4 seconds. Well, we can now do one every 2.7 seconds, so that's better. And we're going to give ourselves 2 points in here to give ourselves 50% more armor if we've cast Forge Strike recently. And I've got a number of things that scale with armor. My armor at the moment is off the charts. I'm level 54. Once things start proccing, things hit me and I use my skills, I'm probably somewhere around about 5,000 armor, which seemed like quite a lot to me and gives me good damage mitigation. But when I tried running monoliths with this, I could stand in every piece of goo on the floor in a level 58 monolith at level 50, and my health bar barely moved because of the extra healing and stuff. So these are our sort of 4 core skills, but I didn't like multi-strike, as we talked about. So I went back to a skill I used when leveling my paladin, so a similar class, sentinel to start with, but I went into a paladin instead of a forge guard, and that skill is Rive. Now, I used Rive, and I've used it exactly the same way as I used it on my paladin, because there's a couple of nodes in here that I really, really like. So Rive hits twice with your weapon, and then the third attack is a big sweeping area attack. So you hold the button down and you go hit, hit, swing, and that swing will hit lots of things. So this way of using Rive is all about getting the most damage out of that area swing so that we can clear any creatures around us. So we do that by going up here, which gives us 60% increased area to that last swing. We'll hit more stuff. I take 2 in here because that third strike leeches 10% of the damage that it does as health, which is very useful for survivability, and as we're going to find out, that third strike is going to do a lot of damage. I am going to cap this. At the moment it's just 1 point because we haven't finished levelling the skill. It's plus 15% to that third strike only. It's going to end up at 45. But that takes us to this node, which is if you have positive mana, Rive's second strike pulls enemies in, but it now costs mana. So Rive typically costs no mana, the second strike now costs 5, but it pulls enemies in just before you do the big third strike area attack. Then we go down here. We put 2 points in here to give the first and second strikes 16% attack speed, so we hit a bit quicker with those pretty boring, don't do very much damage, and are about to do even less damage attacks. But we go quick, pull them in. Then there's a bit of a pause before the third strike, which gives us a chance, if we want, to use our Forge Strike on all the enemies we've just pulled in to give us a chance to create loads of swords. We go into this node. This node in itself is almost a waste of time. We're going to make it irrelevant in the next node, but it increases the critical strike chance for the first and second strike, and more importantly the third strike. But it leads us to this node, Focused Strike. The first and second strikes now can never crit, but the third strike always crits. And my current crit multiplier is about 220%, so immediately every one of those area attacks is going to do nearly 2.5 times the damage it was doing before, and then we're going to buff it up. And I was quite happy with that. Rive is a good sort of quick farming skill getting through the map. But then I found this node, and I've not explored it fully yet because we're only 2 out of 4, but we could put a point in here for a little bit more damage. We can come down to Bound Weapon. When Rive kills an enemy or hits a boss, not kills a boss, or rare enemy, you have a chance to summon a forged weapon. So we can have up to 12 forged weapons. We mainly summon them by using Forge Strike to hit things. It summons weapons, but it's not a 100% chance. We now, every time we kill something with Rive, and we kill things a lot with Rive because of that huge area attack that does lots of crit, we'll have, when we finish this spec in this skill, we'll have a 24% chance to summon a sword. And if we kill 10 creatures, that's a 24% chance for each of them to summon a sword, and it will suck everybody in and then it'll kill them. But also, we will be up to a 16% chance on every single hit on a boss or a rare to summon a sword that then lasts for 32 seconds. And we're going to be hitting very quickly with Rive. We've put a couple of extra passive points into the base Sentinel tree here, so that every time we use Rive, we gain 25 health and 10 mana. So the fact that Rive's second strike now costs 5 mana makes no difference to us, because we're gaining more mana back than we're using, and we're gaining health. Altogether, this build is just starting, only just starting, but it's starting to clear. So it's totally different to how I'd originally planned it. 3 of the skills I was going to use are in there, 4 of them I suppose. 2 of the skills aren't there, we've put in another one. Very, very quickly, I've obviously found some decent bits of gear as I've been going along. The big ones really are, I'm using a ring with high poison resist, so I've started trying to cap my resist, which I haven't done on previous characters, using my idols. So up here are my idols, and you'll see I've got every idol slot unlocked now. So jump into the map, we talked about this in the first episode. There are 15 passive point rewards and 8 idol slot rewards, and I've now got 15 out of 15 and 8 out of 8. I've not finished the campaign yet, but I'm not too far off finishing the campaign. So by doing that and putting these idols in and a few other key bits of gear, my resists are, 4 of them are completely capped, they're over capped, so 75% is the maximum resist you can have, and all the others are pretty much at 60%. So that's good. We've also got 1800 armour, which gives me 45% reduction of physical damage and 31% of non-physical, but when I'm fighting that more than doubles. That goes up by maybe 150%, which means I have a massive amount of damage mitigation from armour. I've also got this legendary shield. So this was there are two ways of getting legendaries in the game. This one is it has potential to become a legendary, and as you use it, it unlocks various legendary affixes. So this one unlocked, damage reflected, yeah, okay, thanks very much. 24% cold, which was a big gap for me in my resists, and 5% to all resists. Brilliant. But every second you gain a stack of golden aegis. And it goes up to a maximum of 4, so I've got 4 stacks of golden aegis. Each one gives me a plus 12% chance to block, so I have a plus 48% chance, and every time I do block, I lose a stack. Two things happen here. One, my block chance has gone through the roof, and it stays pretty high even when those stacks of aegis have been knocked off. But secondly, my block effectiveness, the amount of damage that my block stops, increases per 1% of total uncapped resistance. Now my resistances are all really good, which means I now have a 77% chance to block attacks, and when I do, I'm blocking 50% of all that damage before it goes through to my armour and my resists and all the rest. So this build is now tanky as well as quite damaging. So we've gone through all that. We've got there. Let's play. Let's see it run. So we've no stuff to deal with. In the campaign, I've just reached Lagon, who I would argue is the toughest boss in the campaign. He's got mechanics you sort of need to learn, and he's got a number of abilities that will just one-shot kill you. We're about the right level to take Lagon on, and I think we'll do that on stream today. I think we will go and fight Lagon, and if nothing else, you'll get to see me die to him a few times, but hopefully we'll walk over him. But before we do that, I'm going to go into the Monolith of Fate. So this is one of the endgame activities. And for anyone who's not aware, the Monolith of Fate, you can find it from the end of time, either by walking through here, or once you've unlocked some of the monoliths, you can portal to them directly. And once you enter the monolith, the map looks like this. So I've unlocked the first monolith on this character, level 58, and I was able to play in this monolith from about 50. I was pretty slow at clearing the individual maps in here from 50. Once I got to where I am now at 54, you're going to see we have no problem with it. This is why I die now, because I can't talk and stream. We need to finish this monolith, and we'll talk through how we do that in a little bit. And when we do, we'll be able to unlock either this one, which I think is a level 62, or this one, which is a level 66, and we want to go this way. We want to unlock the highest level one so that we level faster, get more experience, and also because it takes us to the important monoliths up here, which are, I believe, Last Ruin, Age of Winter, and Spirits of Fire, maybe Reign of Dragons. These ones that are all connected have this little central node, and when you have finished each of these monoliths, you can click on this and it will upgrade your monoliths. It will let you play in the whatever they're called, the ascended monoliths, so that everything becomes level 100 rather than level 58. And the way that monoliths work is for each individual one, there is a little stone or node over here that you can click on, and it will open up the map for that monolith. And each one has these little echoes in it, and you can do that echo, and that echo is a map. The map has some modifiers on it, so this one, enemies are going to gain frenzy and haste when they get hit. So that will make it slightly more difficult because the enemies are going to be more difficult. They're going to die. It's not going to matter. Then there are some modifiers on me, so I will get an 18% increased rarity on the items that drop and 5% extra experience. And the rewards for completing this one are glyphs. We'll see those in a minute. We're going to do this. And a minimum of 11 timeline stability and up to 24 bonus stability based on how many enemies I kill. The stability can be seen at the top of the screen. We're currently at 65. When we get to 80, we unlock the first of these three quests down the side. We unlock them at 80, 180 and 300. This one, and this one. And they will then become available to be done. And these are not random maps. These echoes are little random maps with random objectives. You'll go and do them, and we'll show you how quick that is in a minute. Each of these is like a pre-scripted quest, and the last one is a big boss fight. And if you beat the boss, you finish this monolith, you unlock the next monoliths, and you get a blessing, which is a permanent buff to your character. So we've got two options tonight. We can try and push Fall of the Outcasts and finish this first monolith, or we can try and beat Lagon and crush the campaign. I don't think we're going to finish the campaign tonight, but I will finish it at some point, because by doing so, or finishing as much of the campaign as is available in the beta, the 0.9.2 version, we get +1 to all our attributes, which is not to be sniffed at for free. So let's run one of these and see how long it takes. And if I zoom out, you can see that they're branching pathways. Each one branches to two others, and they all have different rewards. So the one I'm looking at here gives me glyphs. This one down here will give me runes. This one down here will give me bows and quivers. So it might be equipment, it might be crafting materials, it might be bonus XP, it might be gold. And you can choose the path you want, and you get away from this central monolith until you've hit the stability. I've not done a lot of monoliths. On previous character I've beaten this one, and that's all. So we'll have a bit more of a play and we'll see how this works. So let's do this first one here, this one where we get the glyphs. It will load us in, and then we should be able to just go absolutely nuts, and this will give us enough stability to unlock that first quest. So we bring up our manifested armour, who has a shield but does not yet have a weapon because of the skills, and we will start having some fun. Right, so we rive everything and it all just dies. We manifest Forge Smite, whatever it is, to Forge Strike to drop the hammer on things and summon the swords. So as you'll see, I've now got 3 swords, 1 manifested armour, and I've also got this summoned guy from here. I can pop my shields up. We've got shields. And we're going to work very, very quickly. So what we have to do here, our objective is to slay enemies until Admiral Harton gets located and then kill him. So we need to basically kill everything we can on this map. So the shields go back up, and then let's try and get a nice run with our shield rush. So you see, it kills things really quickly without really worrying about my health or whether or not I'm going to die. Now you can see on the map, Admiral Harton has been located. So the most optimal way to do this now is just to dash straight to him, basically finish him off, and then you've finished the Echo. You get more stability, and at the moment we're at 5 out of 24. You get more for slaying enemies. At this stage, I don't think it's worth grinding. At these sort of low-level monoliths, it's not worth grinding for all the stability. You just get out of here and run another Echo, and you'll do it much quicker, and you'll still gain masses of stability, and you'll get more bonuses and more rewards. Right, if we just rive everything to death, we are up to 4 swords, 6 swords, 7 swords. Get the shields back up, get through the crap mobs, burst stuff down. 9 swords, and the swords really are where this stacking damage starts to come in. And once we've got the extra 2 nodes in that Rive passive, I think we're going to be summoning so many swords that even on bosses we're going to be capped, and I might take a point out of the Forge Strike node that summons swords, because we might not need it, and if we don't need it, that's going to go into the armour one for survivability. So these little playing around with the bosses. So here's Admiral Harton. Let's see how good he is at killing me. Oh, right, my animated armour has gone down. Thank you, love. Right, no, shields are up, shields are up. See, I'm just standing in all the goo he's throwing out. No problems at all, and my armour at that point, it's already dropped back down again, but that is the Echo completed. So that didn't take more than a couple of minutes, and we've gained 12 stability. We hit the portal, and it takes us back to the beginning. When it's loaded. There we go. So here's our reward, which was going to be glyphs, wasn't it? So we click on that, and indeed it drops a load of glyphs, and we also get a chest. And you can see from my loot filter, which I talked about at great length in my last video on Saturday, where nobody could hear me because the sound was off. I've got my loot filter all built up. I've been revising it as I've gone along. It's a bit stricter now. I've put in a few more affixes that I want. I want a slightly wider range of affixes, but I've narrowed down the base items. But even with that loot filter on, it's showing us this two-handed axe, and the reason it is because it's an exalted item. So that increased melee attack speed is tier 6, and you can't craft a tier 6 affix, you can only get it on drops. So what I'm doing for now with these, rather than evaluate them and see if I want to craft with them and see how cool they might be for other characters, is I just take them to my tab and I ditch them in. We'll transfer all those. These dropped because they've got a couple of things that we might be vaguely interested in, but we're really not. Vitality and move speed, both of those are good, so what I will do is I will pop that into my forge and shatter it with the shatter rune, and I got movement speed and vitality shards out of that for crafting on future items. That run's done, and we can just crack on now. Hey, hey, hey! Jellyfish Gamer in the house. How you doing, boy? It's good to see you here, my friend. I'm doing the thing again. My chat is down here. I am going to have a solution for this in the next few weeks. So when I start talking to you and I do this, it's because for me you're down there, but you're not. Yeah, it's good to see you, buddy. I think this is the most popular stream I've ever had. We've got 3 people in here. That's just insane. Right, let's do ourselves another quick run. So where do we go from here? We got this. We could go for here, which will give us bows and quivers. We're not interested in bows and quivers. We are interested in runes, we are interested in rings, and we are interested in shards. So we'll hit this one, Rotting Fortress. It's going to give us another random map with an objective. We have to kill enough enemies to locate Spymaster Xeric. Oh, excellent. We've got a big chest here. Anything good in it? Oh yeah, we've got a purple. Nice. Right, so we'll kill things until Spymaster Xeric appears on the map, and then we will go kill him. And my levelling up has slowed down slightly, not a massive amount, but you know, we're almost level appropriate in here now. When I first came in at level 50, although it was very slow going to kill a lot of the things, I was getting so much XP from it, it was still pretty much worth it. I do think the ability to cast that Forge Strike wherever you want, instead of having it limited to your character, really makes it optimal in terms of being able to hit the right things. And I can just leave the swords and the Manifest Armour to deal with all that for me, while I go off and start riving things to gain health, gain mana, and gain swords. So we've got 7 swords out of our max 12. Get more shields. Kill stuff, and it's a satisfying little loop of sort of dopamine hits, occasional item drops, occasional gold drops, nice shards, but every now and again we get a skill point or we get a level, and that means we can put some more passive points in. And I've got some amazing plans for where my passive points are going. I'm missing quite a few really key ones at the moment that are going to round out my resists. They're going to round out some of my survivability options, but they're going to massively chunk up my damage as well. So almost every passive point now becomes quite a big buff. The next plan, I think, is to max out my multiplier for crit damage, because all of my Rive final strikes are guaranteed crits. Right, Admiral Harton has not yet appeared. We'll take that. We'll take the shrine. Nice, straight up to 12 swords. Watch how quickly 12 swords demolishes this dude. He's a pretty potent guy, but he's just getting chopped down. And I am not taking a lick of damage. Those shields are doing their work, and I'm getting healed for 240 health every 6 seconds from them. So if he does chick me a couple, there we go, dead, done. So that is that whole thing done. And we click on that, and we get our runes, and we go over here. Do we get anything good? Just the gold. And so if we look at the progress now, we've made it through the first part of Fall of the Outcasts. So the ransacked camp is now available. You're looking at my other monitor. Don't look at the things I have up on my other monitor. We don't Twitch stream those. It's against the terms of service. And I'm talking to you down there again, because that's where the naked ladies are. Ransack camp. Let's do the ransack camp. Normally what I do is I let the stability get up to max and then I just run all 3 of these in quick succession. But this is quite different, so we will go to a certain decisive victory in a particular timeline. So these are echoes of different timelines, they sort of fit in with the story. We'll jump in there and we'll do this mission. And we'll see that this one doesn't have a random objective. It's a very specific map with a very specific set of objectives. They're always the same, and you get a little bit of story out of it. So I could go and chat to this guy, and he would tell me that the Immortal Empire found them. We tried to fight them off, but there were too many, and we were overwhelmed. I think I might be the last of the outcasts. And I go, which ones were they from what timeline? I should have paid more attention. Did no one else survive? Some managed to flee and likely went south, but the rest were either gathered up and taken, or their souls were extracted straight on sight. Pretty nasty. So if even a few of the outcasts were alive, they would be prisons along the north of this camp, and there is a ritual going on up there. So I need to go and rescue these prisoners before somebody ritually sacrifices them. And I will do just that. The rescuing, not the ritual sacrificing. Although, you know, depends how nice the prisoners are to me. Boom! These little eyeball things were a real pain when I first started doing this under-leveled, because they tank a lot of damage and then they explode. But we don't really need to worry about it now. Charge, hit the things, kill the dudes. It's just too much fun. There you go, see, the swords have just run off there and everything's dead. Everybody's dead, Dave. And then you'll see if I go over here, Rive will suck all these people into the middle and then just kill them all with a big crit strike. And then once they're all gathered up, we hit them with Forge Strike. We're at 12 out of 12 now on our swords again, and they will just dash off and kill the world. We'll run around with our swords, and we will kill this, whatever it is. What is that? What do I have to do? I have to defeat the Necromancer's power in the barricades. And I've killed 2 of them, so the other Necromancer is over here. Have some swords. See, there we go, level 55. I'm not really trying, I'm just having fun killing things, and we've got ourselves another level. So let's see if we can't get another couple tonight while we're at it. And by the time we go back to fight Lagon, we will be more than ready for him. Wow, look at all the shields I've got. So I have a passive in my passive tree that gives me a... At the moment it's a 1% chance when I get hit to cast Ring of Shields. And that doesn't trigger its cooldown, or mind if it's already on cooldown. I can buff that to 3%, so if that happens twice, I get 10 shields instead of 5, which is quite insane. And I will be able to get 16 shields instead of 8. Or, you know, if I get really lucky and it triggers twice in a row during the shield's duration, we might be able to get up to like 24 shields or something. Right, this is doing quite a lot of damage now. In fact, I'm surprised that my Manifest Armour is not yet dead. I have got a ring that gives me 95% extra health to minions, which is keeping my minions alive quite a lot. Right, so we have killed the 2 Necromancers powering the barricades. We now need to go back to the barricade and get through. Oh, tell me what you're painting, Jellyfish. I have Necrons on a table somewhere just around the corner that I really need to, well, start. I was going to say finish. I really need to start getting back into painting my Necrons. I have plans. I've been reading the new codex and I like it a lot. And yeah, this game is great. It's essentially in beta at the moment. I bought it years ago when it first went into beta on Steam, as a big fan of action RPGs, and it does not disappoint. It's the best one I've played by far, and there are so many things coming with the 1.0 release on the 21st of Feb. And we destroy this, and we have finished the Echo, which means we have conquered that quest, and we'll jump back. So we don't get a specific reward for this one, but we do still get the chest. So we can hit the chest, and we've got a couple of items there actually, that's quite nice. And now if we go over here, we still have to gain, what are we on? We're on 116 stability, we need to get to 180 to unlock the next quest echo. Oh, I see, I see. Painting other people's models, are we? The troublesome twosome making you do work. Those boys need to learn to do their own. Right, so we've got a couple of cool echoes here, one of which is, this one will give us affix shards, so those are items we use to craft affixes onto our weapons. We always want shards, but after that it branches into a unique ring. And I want to know what that cool unique ring is, so we're going to run 2 more of these very quickly, just because I want to see that unique ring. Actually, we've got a couple of skill ups as well, so where are we going? Another one in there, another one in there, and a passive point which we will pop in the end of here, and we've maxed this out now. So we now have a 3% chance to cast Ring of Shields when hit, and our minion health and minion armour is up to 150%, which is pretty respectable. Our minions now should not be dying left and right to bosses or anything. What am I doing here? Kill enemies until you locate the Ash Gate. Presumably not the hospice. Right, I'm standing in all the goo, which is bad, but we'll just jump out of the goo. Not that it's doing me any damage. Summon the shields back. Kill more dudes. Ah, there we go, right, so when it comes to killing enemies to find the location of something, I don't know whether killing much bigger, tougher enemies makes a difference on progress, or whether killing as many small enemies is just as useful, but, you know, if in doubt, kill everything. Right, attack that please, summon some more shields, manifest some armours and strike some forges. Oh, well, damn it, I hit a tree with my movement ability. That 4.5 second cooldown is going to feel quite long now. Ah, right, we have located the Ash Gate. I now need to find my way down there, and I suspect we have to go back this way. Maybe not, but there is a way past down here. You'll quite often see people, if they're streaming, they will absolutely speed through this. They will build their characters for maximum movement speed, maximum area damage, they'll completely smash stuff, and they'll be doing one of these every couple of minutes. I like to get distracted, sidetracked, and focus on little individual dudes, because as long as I'm having fun and slapping things with my build, I am a really happy guy. So I am not going to be min-maxing, powering through, taking the most efficient route. I'm just having fun, and every time I level up, I'm going to be happy. And you see, we're like 25% of the way to the next level already, and we haven't really been doing anything except chatting and holding right mouse button, occasionally taking a drink, or a socially unacceptable vape break. This is a map of loads and loads and loads of big fat nasty monsters and very few tiny little easy to kill ones, which is a shame because I like riving them. The one thing I haven't tested this on very much is large single bosses. So large single bosses, I want to know how many swords I spawn, and at the moment it's looking like with these guys we're not spawning a huge amount. We're on like 3 or 4 swords, so our damage is down. We're on 5 now, but we're going to double the rate at which we proc those swords once we've got another couple of points in Rive, so I'm not too worried about that. I do think once we've got the hit boss proc on Rive doubled, it's going to really make a massive difference. But for now, it's just about fine-tuning the build and getting it up there. Once we've got all the skill points, I will no doubt change my plans quite a lot, because a lot of the way we're going to sort of try and optimise this, I'm not saying min-max it, but optimise it, is just going to be trying everything and coming back. So I'm going to put on the 8 shields node for my Ring of Shields, only because I think it'd be cool to have 8 shields spinning around me and to rush in a straight line with 8 shields. I suspect that investment of skill points would be better spent somewhere else, making the shields do something more interesting rather than just having more of them. But I'm going to try 8 shields first, and then I'm going to move it if I have to. Right, forget these guys. They can all come with me if they want. I'm going to the Ash Gate. Let's click on the Ash Gate. That will summon a whole wave of mobs. and we can then fight everything all at once because, you know, the game isn't hard enough. But if we're fighting everything all at once, we've got a much better chance of proccing swords. And the more swords we've got, the easier it is to fight everything at once. So this build just scales. I also get bonus damage to attacks and bonus armor and bonus resists if I've been hit recently. So actually what I want to do is proc those shields for a bit of healing, then let some of them die so I'm getting hit, or stand in the area attack stuff, and just let stuff wail on me. And I will become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. Hey, now I can check out chat again. Right, time to look away from my screen. Echo is finished. Yeah, that's all they learn. Oh, I'm going to do one more. I'm going to show you my ring. I'm pretty sure that's in the Twitch terms and conditions as well. I think if you have a black bar on it these days, you're allowed to get away with it. I don't know what I've tagged this channel with. Maybe I'm going to get banned, or, you know, blacklisted or cancelled. Right, so we've got a ton of crafting materials from those few runs, which is lovely. Some runes, some glyphs, some shards. We'll just transfer all of those, hoover them up. There's a couple of interesting things. We'll compare some of these later. I do want to quickly look at the weapon. The weapon is always an important part of the build. Better physical penetration, but the physical damage is not as good. I've got 67%, so I got lucky with the drop, and I got not only tier 4 out of 5 increased physical damage on this weapon, but I got pretty much max roll in the range on that tier 4 as well. So short of upgrading that, which I may be tempted to do unless we get a better base item later on, that's looking about as good as it gets. So here's our legendary ring Echo, which will give us at least 15 stability, which will take us to 53. Yeah, we're not quite going to hit the second quest just yet. It is a good point, Jellyfish. What I'm planning on doing is putting some of the VODs up on the YouTube channel, and using the YouTube channel to sort of showcase some of the stuff we're streaming over here. I was going to do it after episode 2 so that we had a bit of consistent content, but episode 2 had no microphone until 2 hours 5 minutes in, so I thought we'd do it with maybe episode 1 and perhaps episode 3 if it went better. So yeah, but I'm going to be uploading some of those over to the YouTube channel. I just need to find some time to fiddle about and do it. As you know, with my YouTube channel, it has always been very stop-start, because I love editing until I hate it, and then I stop doing it, and then videos are later and later. Streaming is brilliant, because as long as my mic works, I can just turn up and get it done. It's like doing training rather than reports. Always take the easy route. Right, oh, we've got an option of 2 legendary, or 2 unique rings. So this unique ring takes me to keys, arena keys. I've never done the arena, that might be quite fun. And runes. Let's go and get an arena key, and then we can try the arena out. So the arena is another end game ability where you fight waves of enemies. Oh, right, this map is defeat all 14 waves of enemies, speaking of. So here we go. Let's go and defeat 14 waves of enemies. Oh, it's going to be a slow start with these big boys unless they all... right, so we can group them all up with Rive, and that will help us generate a few more swords. Here we go, now we've got sword fodder. We need lots of crappy little mobs until the build really starts kicking to get these swords going. But we're on 8 swords now, so... hit that. Okay, we're on 12 swords, that's pretty good. That should crush anything on the map. Oh, I went in the wrong direction with that. So this, I like this because other than a couple of odd buffs and a few little triggered things I need to do, I can, if I want, do one of my favourite action RPG things, which is a one-handed playstyle, and not for the reason that Jellyfish Gamer is about to suggest, but because I like to be able to drink a beer while I'm playing. Die, 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 you fiery bastards. Oh, see this? I don't know, there's something compelling about this. I can just switch off and do this for absolutely hours. The only problem with this kind of monolith grinding for streaming is I really can just zone out and do this for hours and completely forget that I'm talking to people. Unlike the start of the stream or the last couple of streams I've done where I spend more time talking than doing anything else. But it does mean we might get some levels done. Right, let's try and draw these guys in. There we go. So they do an area attack by spinning those rocks. If you can stand in the middle and get Rive's second attack going off, then you can hit them and drag them in, and then all of their area attacks overlap, so you can dodge them all at once by standing under their feet. Not that dodging is important, although it did kill my manifest armour. When they slap with that rock, it slaps. Look at that, done. Max stability, because we slayed everything on the map. Don't know quite what those are. I've never had one of these wave-based ones before. Are there any more totems knocking around? Yes, there are. So I should have explored the map a bit more. What's this one? This shrine is an experience shrine. Now, if I'd grabbed that before, we'd have done really well. I don't know if that buff persists, but we're going to grab it anyway. Right. And we can jump back, and we can breathe, and we can relax. Oh, and what are we going to get? We're going to get our legendary ring. So it's time to show you my ring. I got gloves. The ring is just the icon. It is just a unique item. Oh, I've got these. These are throwing damage gloves. It's got legendary potential though, so that will be a good crafting one later on. Anything good in the chest? A little bit of gold, and now this could be good. These clubs are very good for my level for damage. So 53 melee damage with stun chance, plus 39 melee fire damage. So we'll quickly hover over here. I'm currently doing nearly 1700 DPS with Rive. If I put that on, it goes to nearly 2000. Plus damage rather than plus percent damage is plus flat damage is always really, really potent. So our attacks are now going to do fire damage on top of physical. And they're going to do a hell of a lot of it. And we've got a 64% chance to apply frailty on hit, which makes them hit back weaker, because, you know, we've been really struggling with survivability. So let's have a look. That melee fire damage is a tier 6. Not particularly good in the affix range, but it's still pretty good. And we've got melee void damage on there as well. So I could... tier 1 melee void damage. We could play around with some crafting here. Let's have some fun. Like, this is going to be a waste of crafting materials, but when the new cycle starts, we'll be able to have fun with this anyway. So if I put this in here, the melee void damage plus 4 is nice. I like it. We got 43 forging potential on this weapon. Now, I've done almost no crafting in this game, so I'm gonna mess this up. And beer is the best kind of self-pleasure. So we've got a tier 6 and a tier 4 here. I want to keep this tier 1 melee void damage because it's just bonus damage, but I want the room for 2 more affixes. So I can use a Glyph of Despair. I've only got 3 of them from playing the game all this time, so it's basically a waste, but I'm starting again in a little bit. It has a chance to seal an affix instead of upgrading it, so what it does is it drops it down to a lower slot and fixes it on the weapon and opens that slot back up, meaning I can have 2 prefixes, 2 suffixes, and that one. Now it only has a chance of doing this. Let's get rid of that Rune of Shattering. It only has a chance of doing this, but on a tier 1 affix that chance is 100%. So if I click this now, we take the Glyph of Despair. I think if I click that, yes, it will cost 1 to 10 forging potential out of my 40, and it will seal it away. Let's see if it works. There we go. So we still have that melee void damage on the weapon, and we lost 4 forging potential. We've still got 39 potential, and we can now put a new prefix and a new suffix on this. So what we'll do is the available prefix would be Crit Strike Multiplier, could be very nice. because we've got guaranteed crits every time we do that third swing. I've only got 8 shards for that. The other one would be melee physical damage, because that is a physical damage skill. Now we've got a few more for that. So if we did melee physical damage here, I'm not optimizing this. There'll be people out there screaming at me saying I'm crafting a garbage weapon out of something that was originally great. But we remember this now does 32 DPS because I've not got a weapon equipped, but it was 1954, I think, DPS. So I can craft that on there, and I'm going to put a Glyph of Hope in here. So the Glyph of Hope gives me a 25% chance not to use any of this forging potential. And if we get to 0 forging potential, we can't do anything else with this weapon. So we'll roll and we'll give it a random chance. Here we go. So that was a critical success, which meant we didn't use forging potential. We upgraded melee physical damage 2 tiers instead of 1. We added it on, and we upgraded it to tier 2. So that's amazing. Then let's go for a suffix. So do I have to get rid of that to go to the suffix over here? So suffixes that we can put on would be... Yeah, I don't want that. Can I get rid of that? So you can tell I've never done this. I want to put a suffix on here. Right, suffixes, here we go. Into this slot, we want to put chance to shock, chance to poison, chance to blind. Health on kill is pretty good, health on hit is pretty good. Increased stun chance is great because this already has plus 71% stun chance, so I can do a swing and stun everything on the screen, and then we've got an even better chance of killing it. I'm just checking chat and checking my alcohol levels. Chance to shred armor on hit is great because it makes them take more damage. However, I only have 7 shards for that, so we could do increased stun chance. We could do increased stun chance with melee attacks. We could do health on kill, but I don't feel like our survivability is really necessary at all at the moment. Are they the only ones we can do? Available to be applied, currently applied. Yeah, yes, we're in the suffixes now. So on this particular weapon, these are the ones that can be applied. Let's go for stun chance, because we might be able to stun lock some bosses out here. Right, so this time the Glyph of Hope preserved the forging potential. So we've added this tier 1 increased stun chance. We're still at 39 forging potential. So the best way to do this now is to try and upgrade your affixes evenly. So if I upgrade this from tier 1 to tier 2, if I get a critical success, it will also increase one of these other 2. It can't increase the tier 6, I don't think, but it will increase one of these other 2. So I'll do the tier 1 first. Glyph of Hope worked again, still got the forging potential. So this item at the moment is tier 6 here, tier 4 here, 2, 2 and 1. So it's technically a tier 15 item. And tier 20 is amazing. That's your maximum craftable with 4 affixes. And this is already a tier 15 with 39 forging potential left. Now I want to do the melee physical damage. Right, that time we lost 9 forging potential. But we got it there. Then we'll do the stun chance. But I need to be level 58 to be able to forge that any further. So that's as far as I can get. So we take that weapon back out. So we were doing 1954 damage with that weapon. If we now put that weapon back on, we're doing 2311 DPS. So we've gone up by best part of 350 DPS, 360 DPS by doing some of that crafting. And in addition to that, it's got a 100 and I can't do mental arithmetic. 119% increased stun chance. That's obscene. So we should see things be hit with fire damage, we should be doing quite a chunk of melee physical damage, and we should also start to see things just get completely perma-stunned. We can stun lock all sorts of cool stuff. Right, let's go and have another quick monolith. We've still got 3 concurrent viewers in chat. This is amazing. Thank you all for sticking around. whether you're lurking, laughing, or self-pleasuring yourself with beer, you are more than welcome, and I'm very pleased to see you. Right, we were going to go and get an arena key, weren't we? And after the arena key, we can get some idols. So let's do both of those. I think there is an optimal way to move away from this middle, and it's meant to be to sort of stretch away in a line out from the middle, but I'm not optimizing at the moment. I'm just trying different things, looking for the stuff I want to farm. Really, all I want to do is unlock the next level 66 tier, which I couldn't do on my last character because I wasn't good enough, but actually I think this guy might be built well enough. Oh, right. Help if we got in range of anything to hit it. The attack speed is noticeably slower because we're using a weapon with a much slower attack speed, but the thing slaps. It is really hitting for big damage, and the crits that are coming off Rive quite rapidly are doing some pretty good damage. Right, so what are we doing here? We are slaying enemies until we find the Soul Gate. So it was the Ash Gate last time, now it's the Soul Gate. Essentially it's still a clickable gate that spawns a whole load of mobs that we will kill, and then we will win the world. 4 swords, let's get some more swords, and say things that rhyme. Seven swords. We definitely still need a few buffs in the skill department to get that. I don't mind being overcapped on swords. Like if I'm doing a boss fight, I want to be on 12 swords most of the time, because that's actually where a lot of my DPS is coming from. And I've got some other passives that will scale the damage of those swords better once I've leveled up a little bit. So the level cap is 100 in this game, and I'm only level, what did we make, 56? So we've got a long way to go in terms of our passive tree, and there are some very juicy bonuses in there. Right, we've found the gate, which is over here somewhere, so let's see how... Look at this, see? You can run with that skill for the longest time, and with all your shields out, you smack stuff pretty consistently all the way around, and when it finally catches up with you, you just finish it off. And we've got 6 swords going on, and they've legged it to go and kill stuff already. Our manifested armour is just not taking any damage. It's absolutely glorious. I love these ones that come back to life, because all they do is stand up in time for you to smack them and finish them off again. It's good fun. Oh yes, 2 of those purple exalted items, which is just phenomenal, because the last one we crafted into a pretty good item for what we're doing now. So typically I don't know when you would start to craft in Last Epoch. I've not played enough of the sort of end game. My suspicion would be you'd probably want to be, I don't know, I'd have thought at least mid-70s. I just want that shrine so that I can then activate the gate with my buffs. You know, you want most of your skills maxed, you want a lot of your passives so that you know exactly where you're building to, and the stuff that you craft. I need to look at what the sort of highest level of base item is, but I think the highest level base items tend to occur around the 70s, maybe 80s. Once you've got access to everything, you find a really good base item with some good affixes, and you start to craft it into something even more beastly. Would be my suspicion, but I will experiment with that once 1.0 comes out, and I will be doing the cycle, and I will be starting again. So we're going to be starting with none of these crafting materials, which is why I am quite happy to just chuck them away and experiment at the moment. Plus earning more is fun, we just do more of these. So there's an arena key, never done that before. We can use it to open the portal to the arena in Champion's Gate. So actually if I pick that up, I believe I can right click on it, yep, and it opens the map and shows me where Champion's Gate is. I haven't gone there on this character yet, but I have gone to the Wengari Fortress, so I can go there and move through these 2 maps, open Champion's Gate, use that key, and defeat waves of enemies for some form of reward. So we're going to do that this stream. I've never done the arena. Let's do something fun. So we could keep running those forever, but we don't need to just yet. Now there's one extra node on here I'm going to take before I start filling out my passive tree. I've got 7 out of 10 here, which gives my forged weapons and my manifest armor better damage. I want to max that out as a priority. I've got 5 out of 6 on my crit strike multiplier, which I really want to buff, and then I've got bonuses to armor, bonuses to attunement, which will give extra damage to minions. So all of these things are really good. But this one here is, if you have taken damage, if you've taken a hit in the past 10 seconds, you deal 1% extra melee damage per hit. So if I just sit in the middle and get constantly slapped by everything on the map, which at the moment is barely damaging me, I should be able to get 20, maybe 30% damage out of this pretty consistently if we can go quickly through. So I'm going to experiment with that. It's only a 1-pointer. We've taken it. We're pretty happy with it. In terms of skills, Rive, we really want another level. We're about halfway on Shield Rush. Manifest Armour is not far off pinging up. Nor is Ring of Shields. Ring of Shields is actually only level 15 because I have an item with +1 level of Ring of Shields on it. So although I've got 16 skill points in it, it's only level 15. Which means it's levelling a little bit faster as well, I think. I think the levelling requirements are not quite as hectic. Ooh, what did we get? We got a giant bone. We got a Warrior Titan Femur of Venom. Whew. Jesus Christ. This thing rolled with 276% increased physical damage. That sounds like a lot. And it is quite a high roll in the tier 6 range. That's pretty good. It's not a tier 7, but it's pretty good. Oh, let's just chill it down. Lots of talking. Lots of desperate excitement. How is everybody this evening? Hope everybody is having a lovely, what are we on? Monday night. Who has lovely Monday nights? I do. I sit around gaming, but that's because I work for myself, and my boss is a genius. We got Quiver, we got Necklace, gives us spell lightning damage, no thank you. Got our arena key. Now I've got this unique body armour, which gives me mana regen per 3% lightning resist, more lightning resist, which is useful, mana and strength both good, and a decent chunk of armour, 175. But I'm now starting to get armour drops that are better. That's 180, and it's got better lightning resist, so I wouldn't even lose the lightning resist. What I would lose is 13 strength, which scales both my armour and my damage, and I'd lose a chunk of mana as well. So I'm not swapping those just yet, but we are starting to see items drop that are going to start replacing even some of our uniques that were early game levelling items. I'd be very surprised now if any of the stuff we pick up is even remotely as good as this. So we're 2,311 DPS. If we tried that weapon, we'd go down to 1120. Yeah, that craft has worked really well for us. Insanely well. So what we can do is we can look at these and say, right, increased physical damage we like, health on melee hit we like, melee damage as leached as health we like. Those are shards we want. And as we saw when we did the crafting, I had loads of some shards, only 6 or 7 of others. It just depends on what you find at random as you go. So what we can do is say, well, this item has stuff that we like. Let's put in a rune of shattering. And we'll break it down and we'll have a chance to pull all these affixes off as shards. And in fact, we got shards of every single affix there. We got 3 of the physical damage ones. So that's pretty good. Damage over time, fizz damage again. I'll definitely take that, because we haven't got as much physical damage as I thought we had in terms of shards. Now this may be an improvement. It gives us an extra 2% block chance, and I trigger bonus armour on block, which is quite useful. We'd lose a bit of cold res. Oh no, we'd only lose a tiny bit of cold res. We'd lose freeze rate multiplier, but we're not freezing stuff. We would gain attunement, but we'd lose physical damage. Nope. Done. I've got purples, oranges, and like a red legendary in some slots, and then I've got this crappy blue amulet that happens to have a really good physical damage roll and a really good melee attack speed, and therefore scales my DPS through the roof. And I haven't been able to replace it yet. Not bothered by any of these. That's a 7% better block chance. The block effectiveness is nowhere near as good as it's trying to pretend it is. Physical damage, health on block, melee physical damage. Those are quite nice. We'll keep that. We'll keep that. So, we're going to sort these out and then we're going to hit the arena. So we'll go to Exalted we'll go to stash tab and pop all of these in. So I'm just keeping all these purples for now so that I can evaluate them later. I'm assuming that I will be back looking at these characters at some point, but once I start the cycle, these will just sort of go in the background in the, whatever it is, non-seasonal realm. My boss needs more than an improvement notice serving. I had a neighbour slip the other day. Not my fault, but, you know, it's on my watch. But we're not here to talk about professional competencies. Right, let's have a look what we've got in here. We'll pop a few of these that I'm considering keeping in here. The ring will be an interesting one, that's garbage. I'm getting slightly better at evaluating items at a relatively decent rate. Given that I'm not going to be playing this bit of the account too intensely once the season starts, I'm not really focusing too much on which things I should shatter and which things I shouldn't. Ideally I should be shattering a lot more stuff than I am and being more selective about it, but as it stands I just want the inventory space back. That one's got legendary potential. We can buy some runes of shattering from her, so that's nice. Okay. I've got a copy of that unique, but I don't believe it has legendary potential. 62 versus 60. Yeah, the one without legendary potential's got pretty much better stats across the board. Bit of a shame. No, I like that one actually. That's alright. We'll keep the legendary potential version. We'll sell that, which should be 500. And then we'll take our arena key. That's quite funky. Hit the map. In fact, let's do it the way that let's hit that and go to the Wengari Fortress. I'm quite liking the streaming setup as it is. I was thinking I might start doing some painting on stream. The painting on stream would be great, other than the fact my painting is shite. If I could string the camera up in the right place and have it focus on my hands while I'm doing some painting, then I could just stare straight ahead at this screen and therefore have chat here, not have to worry too much about all of this. I had, in the last stream, I had a blank chat overlay, which meant I could see chat scrolling up here, which was really useful, but I'm not sure it was particularly legit because it messed my PC up. Not in any critical security way, but it conflicted with a number of things, and it, I think, might be one of the reasons that we had audio issues last time. Because the audio issue last time I assumed was because I hadn't turned the microphone on my headset, or, you know, I'd forgotten to select the right output, or one of those many stupid things. But it was literally, this was plugged in, the headset was plugged in, I could hear in stereo in the headset, but it just wasn't detecting. It was when I set the stream up and I tested it, but about 3 minutes into the little intro sequence, maybe when I hit the music or whatever, it just lost the input. It kept the output, but it lost the input, and all I did was take the USB out and plug it back in, and ta-da, we had audio. So I'm not sure there wasn't a bit of a conflict there that caused some sort of issue. So I got rid of it, but it was very, very useful because I could see chat on my main screen without having to keep doing this, which is unprofessional. But, you know, unprofessional is my middle name. Right, we're in the Wengari Fortress. We are going to go to somewhere over here, aren't we? Hello, you Wengari pricks. Oh my god. This was quite tough when I did it earlier this afternoon at a significantly lower level, and significantly less well geared than this because I hadn't got this one item that seems to have saved me from everything. The crafting system in this game, I said it in the first video, I say it again, the two things in this game that are my absolute favourites, and I suppose gameplay really is my absolute favourite, you can see that. All I want to do is find a cool build and smack stuff. And this is the first time I've ever completely made my own build from scratch for an action RPG without following some guide or looking at somebody else's idea first, and I've never had so much fun. There is no way, playing Last Epoch, I am ever using a pre-gen build, and that is not to frown on people who do, because I have done that in every other action RPG I've played. I do it in Diablo, I've done it in Grim Dawn, and I've enjoyed playing in that way. But this game, I think, has so much more flexibility in builds. It's so much more satisfying to fuck it up, basically. I made a build that in around level 26 was kicking ass, and I changed a few things, and it looked cooler, and it did some things faster. But by level 30ish, it was absolutely wallowing. And it took me 3 changes of skills and 4 complete changes of specs in those skills over 2 days before it even remotely came back. But when it did, it absolutely clicked into the type of build I wanted to be playing, and suddenly I'm not worried about survivability, I'm not worried about damage, I'm not worried about clear speed particularly. It could be a lot better, but you know, it's not something I'm particularly focused on. It's just fun. So the gameplay is absolutely up there for me as the best thing, but on a par with that is the crafting system, which is just exemplary. It does not make ground drops useless. Those purple drops are more powerful than anything you could ever craft. By design, you always want to see cool shit drop on the ground in an action RPG and get that dopamine hit that we all love. And this game gives you that, but it gives you the ability to find one that is pretty good, and instead of going, oh my god, that was so close to what I wanted, crying about it and selling it to a vendor for 300 gold, you can turn it into at least an approximation of that perfect ideal item that you wish it was. It's just bliss to play. And then the other thing that is up there in an absolute equal measure with them is the loot filter. And I showed my loot filter on the last stream, and it will have made no sense to anybody because I showed it with no sound and just went over screens and screens of numbers and stuff. So once we've tried the arena for the first time, I will have a quick look at the loot filter and just explain what I've done. It's very different now to what it was in the last stream. So we'll run through the loot filter very briefly, because I think the fact that there is an in-game loot filter is really, to me, a must for an action RPG. Grim Dawn has one, and it's very good. D4 does not have one. Path of Exile, you have to build one on a third-party website and import it if you want a good one. It makes things more difficult, and it makes you have to go out of the game to do things. I can be logged into Last Epoch, I can be listening to the music, which is excellent, I can be watching the visuals, I can be sort of tooling around in town while I play with and tweak my loot filter, and it just makes me happy. I don't have to leave the game to do any of that. I think we were supposed to be able to find a waypoint there, and I'm not sure I actually did. But here we are. Right, this is Champion's Gate then, apparently. I've never been here before. The map appears to be gently bugged, which is nice, because, you know, we're not playing a full launch game yet, and sometimes it takes something like that to remind me. Because this game is so polished. And, it's been in beta and for donkey's years. I mean, I think I first played it in 2020? Maybe a bit earlier than that. I don't know when it came to Steam Early Access, but I played it pretty much as soon as it did, because this is one of my favourite genres of game. And I played it for quite a while, but I don't know, at the time it didn't click. To be fair, the game it was at that time is not the game it is now. And interestingly, is probably not the game it's going to be a week on Wednesday when 1.0 launches, which I could not be more excited for. So this game is just phenomenal. Oh, we can talk to all these little hairy dudes. Another human! Haha, yeah, okay. I like your human face and human beard. Well played, sir. He's a horny human. Good to see. Oh, I see. Not another human as in another human like me, but another human as in I have seen some before. That makes more sense. I thought maybe we'd found a deluded goat dude. Good to see your kind here. You too, goat man. Human fighting styles quicker, fluid, unlike Wengari. Well, that's why I just killed most of your friends on the way over here in the Wengari Enclave. Oh, Wengari noticed details like that? Of course. Wengari human, here it is same. Oh, mutai do. We fight, we help each other, and then we feast. Over and over. We do together. Wengari and humans being on good terms is unusual. I'm so eloquent.
Not surprised. Other Wengari don't like us either. Call us traitors, try to fight us.
I'm putting on a weird accent that might be construed as slightly racist. Not quite sure what that accent is, but enjoy. They never win. Humans fight sometimes too. They, like other Wengari, don't like that Wengari here are soft. But it is because we find purpose elsewhere in our ring. Many a person I've known in my life found purpose in their ring. We are all tribe. Oh, that's oddly touching. It's oddly touching in your ring. Right, enough of that. Utter filth. I don't think we need any of these blue items, do we? No, no, no. What's that? Oh no, intelligence. The only disappointing thing about finding a really cool drop like this and then crafting it to make it an even cooler drop is that until I can craft it again when I've leveled up quite a lot, I'm probably not going to see another drop for about another 4 weeks that even rivals it, unless I want to start crafting on something else. But I'm glad I got one. I mean, I haven't rolled a purple weapon since I started playing this game, so that's great. Right, you. I want to sell all my shit, but not the key, because that would ruin my day, because that's why I came here. Oh, there you go. I'll throw a hammer on your portal. Right, let's see how the arena works. So presumably I click on this. Let's talk to the Minotaur dude. Oh, he's a Wengari as well. He's just less horny, more hairy.
You come to answer the call too, human.
What call are you talking about?
The call of the arena.
My accent changes with every screen. This is great.
Some of us came and fought the beast inside to grow strong.
Then I went a bit Arnold. This is good.
New leaders emerged soon after, spreading the word to other tribes. Now we are a tribe of our own.
I didn't know Wengari was so simple. Yeah, let's insult him.
Wengari belong in the middle of a fight, surrounded by tribe. That make us tribe. Even humans come, and they part of our tribe too. We all hear the call.
Perhaps I'll give it a go then. That, and I already got a key. But I have 2 skill ups to spend first, so we'll put one in there and one in there, and those are both of the prerequisites we needed to do the additional shields and the sword, the Titan sword, equipped to our manifest armour. So our manifest armour should start actually doing damage now. He's at plus 75% damage from those, and this is going to give him a weapon that scales off my weapon stats. My weapon stats are obscene because we just crafted an amazing stun everything mace. So hopefully my armour should start stunning everything as well. There's 2 of us hitting with high stun chance. Should be quite fun. The shields I'm less excited about. I'm really keen to see what it is like to have 8 shields instead of 5. I think it's probably a bit redundant. I think mechanically speaking, other than it's going to heal me for a little bit more, I would be better stripping the 6 points that cost me out and putting them up here so that every time I get healed I gain 50% more armour and a little bit more block effectiveness, or maybe get some heal on shield death. Well, I don't know. I've seen many shields die. So we'll play around with that. I don't think the shield one is a final thing, but I'll know by testing it. So I'm going to test it. Right, I'm going to look down here because I need to know. Are we ready, chat? Let's dive in. Let's see what the arena is all about. So we click on the arena. We have to give it a key. Have a key. Each attempt at the arena requires a key. Dying or leaving through a portal fails the attempt. Oh, is this endless waves of enemies? And essentially I either keep going till I die or I keep going till I need a pee and then I have to leave. Well, that's bad. I've just opened another beer. Excuse me, I'm choking on my beverage. Right, the arena. Tier 1 is level 50. Well, we are going to crush Tier 1. Fight through 40 waves of monsters, culminating in a fight against an arena champion. That sounds like it's going to be a good way to get a chunk of XP. So let's do it. Right, let's go and grab one of these shrines quickly. Oh, it's a crit strike chance, nice. Doesn't really help us with Rive, which already has guaranteed crit on the last hit and cannot crit on other hits, but really helps us with Forge Strike. And if we want to use it, Charge McGarge. Basically one-shots everything now. These are only like level 50 mobs as well, so we should absolutely crush this, and if we don't, it's because we're losers. I don't know if they stay level 50 all the way through, I assume they do. I don't know if there's a time on this, I don't know if there's like achievements for doing it at a certain time, or if there's a... I think this might be one of the like ranked league sort of mechanics. Hey boys! Oh my god, this game is fun. It's funny because I really enjoy this, but I also really enjoy watching people stream this. Oh look, 5 waves completed, collect your loot and press onwards. Ah, so you get your loot every 5 waves, and then you get a break for a P, and you can abandon or attempt a harder wave. Well, I'm not picking up any of that loot because it's all shit, so I will just do another wave, please. So it started at 50, and there's, what do they say, 40 waves of enemies? But they break every 5 waves, so maybe they level up every 5, so is this 51? So if I could do maths, we end up at about 58 for this first arena one, which would be about right because 58 is the first level of the monolith. So if you're 58, you should have a pretty good time here. This should be pretty easy then. And then I wonder if we have to finish this first one before we can attempt the next one, or if we have to get another rank of arena key to do it. I think, from the way this game has worked in the past, for other things I've tried, I think what we have to do is beat this first 40 waves, and then the next time we get an arena key, we'll get to choose whether we want to start with level 1 or whether we want to start at the higher level. Right, I will collect my loot, thank you very much. Not much of it, and we will press onwards. Oh, choose a modifier now. We're getting into roguelite territory. Arena Champion drops additional exalted weapons, but it gives me a 60% increase in enemy damage and health. Or I can have better enemy health and slightly better enemy damage for more jewellery. Fuck that, let's get... mind you, let's get exalted jewellery, because I just got a really good exalted weapon, and what I need is a decent amulet to replace that shitty blue one I'm wearing. Oh, God, it's taken me to a loading screen. We've gone properly somewhere else. Jesus Christ, he's big. Oh, it was like 5 guys all at once with different legs. That's fine. I thought that was one giant dude. I've been playing a little bit of Helldivers 2 because everyone's playing Helldivers 2 and saying it's really cool, and it looked really cool, so I tried it, and it is. Apart from the server issues, which an hour ago they posted on Twitter saying they'd finished the server maintenance from yesterday and fixed them. I have yet to go back and test that and see, but there's a lot of fighting large tyrannid looking dudes, although it is a completely separate IP. They are Terminids and therefore nothing to do with the Warhammer universe. But that game is tremendous fun, so whenever I see big spangly 8-legged monstrosities like that, it immediately makes me wonder where I put my gun. Yeah, wave 15 is completed, let's just crack on. This is great fun. This is really different because I don't have to go through the whole map trying to find my objective. I just get to smack things constantly. The child in me finds this almost erotic. This is amazing. I should never say child and erotic in the same sentence. It will not happen again. Well, not on this stream. Oh, more dudes. Oh, I could not be happier. We're on 2,980 armour with all the buffs from being hit. That's amazing. Thank you, love. Oh man, top quality wifing. Thank you. You see, it's the behind-the-scenes support staff that make all this possible. This is where the utterly slick production values come from. my shit talking could not happen without the... I'm going to phrase this correctly. Oh my god, barrels of joy. Hang on. Oh, I'm getting distracted. Without excellent support networks. Right. Attempt harder waves. No, let's smash these barrels and see what happens. A small amount of crap came out of them. Right, so modifier for the next few waves. Arena drops extra runes, or just flat out exalted items. Exalted items is better, but you get more damage and more health. Well, we're going to go with the more damage and more enemy health, because I feel at the moment it's far too much of a piece of piss. I sort of want runes, I sort of want exalted items, but what I really want is a challenge, because these monsters bore me. Oh, those are big bastards. Hello, bastards! Oh man, that's some kind of weird-ass Beholder Gorgon thing. Kill! There we go. What are we on? 7... Oh wow, my Manifest Armour died. That hasn't happened in a while. I'm fine, but we're starting to see my minions actually die. Or did I not summon him at the start? Was it like a whole new arena and he wasn't summoned? I thought he was. Either way, we've got him back, and he's not dying now. Oh, shitting cock. That's what you get for being cocky. I have been slain by a poison twister from a Gorgon. Killing blow is both physical and poison. The arena has bested you, traveller. Will you renounce this challenge or return with another key? I don't have another key. I'm going to have to go and find one. I really liked that. I looked at some of the stuff that was in Endgame, and I looked at the monoliths, and I thought, yeah, monoliths, they look more fun because they're bite-sized. So I can do a monolith and then take the dog out for a pee, then do a monolith, then do something else. That was so much fun. I'm going to find more arena keys. Because I got really cocky with that, and then suddenly they were stacking up the damage, and I was so used to just not even dodging it. I thank you for your support, Jellyfish. It came at a good time. I did got this. If got this was you gonna get got by this, and I got by this. However, I leveled up all 3 of my highest level skills, which I've been waiting for forever, which is really useful. So I can take the extra bound weapon on Rive, which is useful, more mana efficiency on Shield Rush, taking it to 32, which is good, and then the first part of my reinforced weapon combo, which is extra global melee damage for 4 seconds after I've used Forge Strike. So we're going to be plus 10 global melee damage plus any modifiers pretty much all the time. In fact, I can try that now. So we are at 2311 damage because of that one node in the skill tree. If I use Forge Strike, Jesus, it goes up by over 100 DPS. Only for 4 seconds, but when I put another blob in that, it's going to go up by 200 DPS. That scales insanely strongly. See, even tiny things, I talked about this I think in the last video where I was muted, the tiniest changes in the passive tree looks really sort of inconsequential and not particularly exciting. One tiny node change in either a skill tree or the passive tree can make such a difference to the way that a good synergistic build comes together. Oh god, I feel like I'm doing training now. This game is freaking awesome. Buy this game, play this game. This game costs 30 quid. It costs 30 quid now, it'll cost 30 quid in a week and a half's time when it comes out into 1.0 release. It's not going to go on sale. That has been confirmed by a number of people who've been working with 11th Hour Games. So, you know, you're not going to get a Steam sale on it. Probably not going to get one this year because it's going to be a big year for Last Epoch and it's only a £30 game. What's that? I don't know, $35 or something. I have played, I think, 150 hours-ish of this in the last 3 weeks, and that's beyond my money's worth. And yet every time I sit down to attack pointless waves of virtual monsters and pick up shiny gold bits of shite that don't exist, I get this grin on my face. And 150 hours of smiling like this is good for the face muscles and very good for the bank account on a 30 quid budget. It really is. I don't think if you are vaguely interested in this type of action RPG, which requires a little bit of sort of mental investment, so you've got a number of your passive trees, you've got your base one, which is quite simple, and then you've got one of 3 masteries, which are more complex, and as we're going to find out as I go further on in this build, your main mastery, the mastery you choose, you can equip the whole passive tree. The other 2 masteries are still available to you up to the first 50%, so up to this chain. The left hand side of this chain is still accessible, and in fact I am going to put, during my levelling progress up to 100, 9 points in this paladin tree, 1 in here for the extra 2% block chance, and 8 in here for 8 attunement for minion damage and 24% elemental resists across the board. So that's 9 in the paladin, as well as 20 in the sentinel, and I think about 70 something in the forge guard. I'm also going to put 14 in the void knight. I am going to put 10 in here, and we're going to balance these a bit because I don't think I'm going to need 10 in here, but I'm starting off with 10 in here, which will give me 40% void resist and 40% physical resist, so that I can drop all the idols that are supporting that and all the gear that's supporting that and put that into damage. And I'm going to put 4 points in here, which is, if you've killed something in the last 4 seconds, I will get 10% per point damage, so I'll do 40% more damage if I've got a kill in the last 4 seconds. So when we're doing those arena type things, which we're going to be doing more of, we will get some cool synergistic bonuses. I said synergistic twice in like 5 minutes. I'm either on fire or I'm a douchebag. So we are going to have points in all of these trees. They look like there's a lot of options, and there are, but they're not that complicated. Here's my Forge Guard one. I went through it and I looked at these. These are all branching trees that have something to do with throwing damage. You get bonuses to throwing damage, you get reduced mana cost for throwing damage, you get better physical damage with shield throw, better block chance. I'm not using throwing attacks, ditch that. Up here, these are survivability. When I get hit, I gain 40% physical resistance, which actually way overcaps me. I've overcapped my physical resist, I've just realised. And my armour goes up by 60%. Yes, want it, all the way. I'm also going to max this out when I get the chance, which is just a flat armour buff, which will help with the scaling of the 60%, and it's reflected damage to attackers. And I went down here because I wanted more block chance from my shield, because things proc when I block with my shield, and I wanted armour on block with my shield. And I can stack that up to 10 stacks. So if I crank this right out, I could be like 2400 armour or something. It's pretty clever. And I wanted things to do with minions and crit strike chance, and that's all of these. These are to do with dexterity, dodging and potion use. So for this build, not interested. Down here, these are to do with the chance of hitting back after you get hit, retribution, critical strike. I'm not bothered. Not for me in this build. I've picked out the nodes, and you just go slowly one by one. And I thought I had this tree down, and this morning I edited it 3 times because I hovered over a node and went, oh actually now I've played the build for a bit, this would work way better. This morning I swapped this one, which is 50 health gained on block if you max it out, to this one, which is 25 health gained every time you use Rive and 10 mana gained. So instead of block, which is a pretty high chance, I've got like a 70 odd % block chance, and I would get 50 health back. Well, I'm getting 240 health from my shields every 6 seconds. If I spec it onto Rive, Rive gives me 25 mana, much more often than I'm going to block because I'm using it all the time. So I'm going to get more health from this than I am from this, but I'm also going to get 10 mana all the time, which offsets some of my mana creep. So playing around with it, once you've got your head around it, is quite simple. The game is accessible, but making builds is amazing. And they do really, really well till you take them in the arena, and then the arena shows you your legendary ring. That ring of fire there, that's how I feel right now. That big ring of fire is what that 17th round of the arena left me with. But we're going back in when I get another key. That was awesome. Right, let us go and do something else. So, this guy looks angry. He's red. Is he going to fight me? I Another human? Oh, wicked, he's a dick. Got a problem?
I'm sick of humans around the fortress. They keep spying and trying to get others to leave. But you are here talking with me, which means you're okay.
No fight then.
And you also here to fight, I assume.
You got that right, and die.
Some arrived just to attack Wengari. Other Wengari joined because they hate those humans. Petty fights that often lose. The tribe, the real ones, we always win. Just annoying to seed through the problems.
You should always seed through your problems. Consensually and with a smiling approval. Alright, these guys all look red and pissed off now. Like, that guy's still friendly. This guy, big, massive jerk. He didn't even want to talk to me. Cool, I can live with that. Right, so, we're going to do this. We are going to go back to the end of time. We are going to go back to the Monolith of Fate, the Fall of the Outcasts, which we're still working on finishing. And we are going to finish that. Well, we're going to do some more of this. And while we do, we're going to try and find some more arena keys, because that arena was epic fun. And we're now on still on level 56, but we're probably going to ding 57 if we do another Echo. So do any of these have arena keys on them? I don't see any. And I don't want to start backtracking, because apparently that's bad. There's another another unique item there, which we now know isn't a ring. Right, this I do know. This is a beacon. So if I go to here and do this beacon, it will reveal quite a few of the echoes around it. So although we've unlocked the second quest, which is the Majelka Streets, we're going to do that in a bit when we've finished the full stability for the full final quest. Before that, I'm going to do this one for idols, I'm going to do this one to show me the rest of the map, and I'm hopefully going to find another arena key so that we can go and boss the arena again, because that was amazing. And if I'd been a bit more canny and I hadn't been so cocky, we might not have died there. Right. Oh, we've got a little wizard prism thing, the rune prison. So there's a nasty bitch wizard in there, and he has experimental items. And normally I would ignore this just because they take too long to kill and they're too annoying. But right now, I'm pretty sure I can take him. Where's he gone? Like, I'm so cocky with my build that I'm going wizard hunting. Where's he gone? There he is. Hey, wizard. Yeah, you see, I'm just standing in the wizard's crap again. This is great. But this is what got me killed in the arena, was the arena scales, and not only that, it gives you random sort of crap on top. There's my experimental item. And I did not respect the random shit on top, and I just kept standing in it, and it murdered me. So these have an experimental affix. So this is an affix that cannot be crafted. It can only be found on experimental items that come from wizards from wizard prisons. So this one gives me 11 ward, which is like a magical shield, every time I use a traversal skill, like my shield skill, and 2 ward gain per missing 10 mana when using a traversal skill. So basically, the more you fly around the map, if you're a wizard or a rogue, the more you're going to make loads and loads and loads of ward. I don't scale ward in this build, it is not of interest to me. However, the concept of that item is, and I will take it and stack it with my other experimentals for now. Right, what are we supposed to be doing? Destroying both bone spires. Right, so there's one over here somewhere. Da 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 da. Grab it, grab it. Got me some runes. Ah. I need to learn to steer. Oh, look at that, I've got like a billion shields around me. So one of my shields on hit must have triggered. Oh, there's 57. Called it. So one more level, I'll be at 58, and that will allow me to do some more crafting on that legendary weapon, or that exalted weapon that we made. So I must remember when we get to 58 I can do one more craft on that, and then I suspect I need to be 59 before it'll let me craft on it again. Ooh, let's kill these with Rive, because we got the next Rive node and we're still not routinely proccing 12 swords. We're getting 11, 9, 10, but because of the way that the boss scaling works, I want to overcap on swords. I want to, if I'm fighting consistently, I want to almost always have 12 swords for max damage, and I don't care if we're proccing more swords when we've already got swords, that's fine. In fact, that may even refresh the sort of the old swords we've got, which helps with cooldown. Might not, but you know, I'll take it if it does. Right, you guys die. Get rid of you first, and then we'll go back to destroying this bone spire. Oh, I see, the bone spire is the thing that's flinging out those bloody bone spikes that keep smacking me. Right. Well, in that case, eat shields, eat swords, just eat. Did somebody say? Hey, right, that's one bone spire out of 2 done. Now the other one's in the other direction, but I do want to grab this, which is move speed, attack speed, cast speed, which is a phenomenal shrine for us to have. I believe it's this way, because I just came from... Oh no, it's not. Well, I believe wrong. I have a dream, and that dream is bullshit. Oy. Big boys across the map. Right, let us destroy this chubby rock swinger. We are getting a decent chunk of stuns. Not quite as many as I would have expected. I mean, like 100% stun chance. We're on 130 something percent stun chance. That will obviously be compared to any stun resists that the mobs have, and to their level versus my level versus, I don't know, the weapons level. There'll be calculations in there, and they will be long and complicated. So I'm not expecting 130% stun chance to equal every hit will stun every monster every single time. But I would expect it to be pretty high, although we are starting to see, if we pay attention, we are seeing a good number of stuns. Right, we just kill this, and we win. Oh, all the shields, all the shields. A bajillion shields. Look at that. Shieldy, 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 shieldy. That's genius. Absolutely love that. And I haven't actually started speccing into my extra 3 shields yet. Not even sure there's going to be room for them. Maybe they can't all spawn, I don't know. Let's experiment. Oh, a unique 2-handed sword. I don't use 2-handers on this build. But that does look pretty good. It's all fire damagey and shit. Right. Ba-boom. That is not a unique weapon I've seen before, so what's its effect? So the way that unique items work, I talked about this in the first episode, but they are items that have, obviously, unique properties. So they do very specific things. They always roll the same... I suppose they're affixes. They're not prefixes and suffixes. They're just fixed inherent affixes. They roll them within a range. So there are no tiers to these. They just roll within a range. And I can display that range there. They always have these unique affixes. So this one will always have melee fire damage, spell fire damage, increased fire damage leached as health, and a 10% chance to cast magma shards on melee hit. Learn to speak. And you can then combine this with an exalted item. So I could take this one. If this had legendary potential, say it had 2 legendary potential, I could do a particular dungeon that lets you craft legendary items, and I could put this unique item, smash this purple item into it, this exalted, And depending on the legendary potential, so if I look at my uniques here, not look at that, that's not good. Right, so this one here, the Titan's Heart, this one has 1 legendary potential. So if I smash that together with another Exalted body armour, it has to be the same type of item. I'm looking between chat and the camera now, that's really weird. I'm looking at Ragnar Blackmane. He is giving me his blessing. If I smashed another Exalted body armour into that unique, because it's got a legendary potential of 1, it would take 1 random affix off that item. So if I found I don't know how specific it has to be, I don't know if it just has to be a one-handed weapon or whether I'd have to find another one-handed unique mace, which I believe this is, for example. Yeah, one-handed mace. So that's got 1 legendary potential. I'd smash them together and I'd make a legendary item. It would have all of those 5 affixes, plus 3 to Vengeance, 43% more hit damage with Vengeance, 53% melee attack speed, 5 to all attributes, 5% move speed. And it would take 1 random affix off here. If I got really lucky and that had legendary potential 4, it would take 4 affixes from this weapon, which normally would be all the affixes, although in this case, because we fixed one with that Rune of Despair, that Scroll of Despair, we've actually got 5 on here. So what you'd hope is, please, please, please take the tier 6 melee fire damage. And that's how you craft legendaries in this game. And legendaries, like my legendaries, will not be your legendaries, because they'll all be crafted. So we'll get different affixes on them from the different combinations of Exalteds and Uniques. So what it might be that, you know, we both level up a Paladin using this particular unique two-handed sword, and we both have a similar leveling experience. When we get to endgame, we might choose to do very different things and smash different items together and make very different legendaries. I've not experimented with this yet, but I'm really, really excited to give this a go. Oh, I forgot I had this ring. So it gives fire resist, which is irrelevant to me because I'm way overcapped, but it gives me fire damage, and I am scaling fire damage on a number of things, including this weapon. But it gives me 10% health, which is about 70 health. 2.1% of my minion melee damage is leached as health on hit. All my minions do massive melee damage. Increased leech rate. 5 physical damage for minions, which we know is good. And your minions cannot be crit. That's a plus 56% poison resist ring, which would then put me quite compromised on my poison resist if I took it off. And it's got cold and physical damage, although my physical doesn't really need capping. I mean, the thing with this is, if I took this ring off, I would lose 95% increased minion health. So my minion health is currently 264%. So if I took that off, my minions are still at 169% health. So they're very healthy. And they are going to survive much better if they have this, that means they cannot be crit. I'm going to try it. I'm going to put that on. I suspect I won't see an appreciable difference in how fast my minions kill things, because I don't think my minions do enough damage for that to be a big issue. Right, we've got a whole load of these. Increased armour by 16%, throwing with shield. So these are idols. We got a reward there. We got a shrine that dropped idols, and I'm just having a look as to whether any of these are particularly good. Fire penetration with melee attacks is nice, because all my melee attacks now do fire damage thanks to this epic club. At least I assume it is. Don't take informative advice from me on this game. I don't know what I'm doing, but other than dying in the arena, I'm doing it alright. Which is probably laughable. Somebody out there is like, I can't believe you died on that tier of the arena. That is so stupid. But, you know, I never did the arena before. How am I supposed to know you don't stand in the goo? That's not how games work, is it? Right, oh god, I'm running out of idle space. I'm going to have to buy another idle stash tab if I'm not careful. We actually want that one, don't we? Let's put it in Paladin idols like that, and yeah, we'll just drop that in there. Then you can have these. That's not going to fit, except it is, because I'll do that. And then you are spare. And you are spare. You two, I think, can get sold. I'm not particularly fussed.
Yes.
So there's no point breaking down this experimental one because it can't exist as a shard. So you can't break it down in the forge and get your shards out of it to craft that experimental affix. It just can't be done. We've got another passive point. So now we have choices. And the choices are, do we get the final crit multiplier 10%, which is a guaranteed 10% more damage to our final swing of Rive, increasing the chance we kill with Rive, increasing the chance that we summon swords. Do we flat out increase the damage of our forged weapons and our manifest armour, which is also a good choice. We could get them more armour and me more armour, and them some more damage from attunement and some more health, which is also good. There's a couple of nodes we've not spec'd into, one of which is we could just up our block chance by 2% flat out and then start working on our elemental resists. Then we wouldn't need half the gear we've got, but at the moment we do have that gear, so, you know. Choices. I also quite like this one, which is if you've blocked in the last 4 seconds, you take less fire damage on block, which I don't care about, but you deal 10% extra damage per point. So if I max that out, I will do 80% more damage as long as I've blocked in the last 4 seconds. And with my current block chance, that's almost a flat 80% damage buff. It's not far off. It'll be up most of the time. I'm going to round out that crit damage because what we really want to do is make Rive absolutely slap. So, pretty happy with that. Right. We're going to do this beacon. So we have to charge the beacon around the echo. It reveals echoes in a large area. And then, what time are we on? 9:30. I said I'd stream for a couple of hours. We'll do this beacon. We'll see if we can see another arena key, because at some point I need another arena key, because that was just too much fun. And then maybe we'll go and finish off Lagon if we have the time to crush through his citadel, because I reckon we've probably got him now, even though he is a tricky bugger with a lot of one-shot mechanics. So as I understand it, the campaign is not yet complete. It goes up to end of chapter 9 at the moment, and then it sort of ends abruptly with a you'll find out what happens in the future. So I'm hoping 1.0 brings us, or at least 1.1, 1.2 brings us the other chunk of the campaign, because there are some unresolved story moments, and as much as a lot of action RPGs are not really about the story, they're about slapping things and getting new loot. The story's pretty good in this, I enjoy it. So I would be intrigued to know what happens. And I also feel I owe the Immortal Emperor quite a good kicking for killing my lazy friend who was never any good for anyone. So much so that I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But he was a pain in the arse, but then he died and I felt bad. Spoilers. Called that one out a bit late. But you're going to be playing the campaign on this quite a lot of times as you level up between different characters and different seasons. What I would say is, I am not somebody who necessarily enjoys playing ARPG campaigns over and over and over again. And the way that the campaign is structured in this game, and not so much the story beats are great first time round, I don't really pay as much attention to them the next time, but I think just the way progression is structured in this game, I have no problem playing through the campaign multiple times. Really don't. I mean, it's something I've done a lot. I can't do it on Path of Exile. I've never finished the Path of Exile campaign, not even once. I've got a chunk of the way through, but then I get lost in builds and I don't understand builds and I have to copy somebody's build, and it drives me to distraction. Diablo, I finished the campaign once, I really enjoyed it, Diablo 4, but I wouldn't go back. I'd rather just start leveling and start doing nightmare dungeons and stuff. The campaign is sort of passive. If you want to engage with it, you can. If not, you're just going to different biomes and killing different types of creatures to get
the predictable rewards that you know you need. You know after you've done it a few times where your idols are and where your passive points are and stuff. You do those side quests and you're done. So we have now opened this beacon. So if we go back now, we finished that echo and we open the beacon, so we don't get a reward because it's a beacon, but we do get a chest. And then if we click on here, the beacon has revealed loads of area around it. And none of them are keys to the arena. However, that... I was going to say it's orange and green, so it's either a unique or a set item. Okay, but it's bows and quivers. Or we could come down here to this beacon to reveal even more and try and get an arena key. So that's what we're going to do in time. But I think before we end the stream for tonight, and we'll resummon you. Yeah, I mean, we've been streaming for, what, 2 and a bit hours. Before we end the stream for tonight, we are going to try and get through to and fight Lagon. And it should not be too difficult. Famous last words. Right, so we are Divine Era. We're up here on Lagon's Isle. We're Temple of Lagon. And that's him. That big, squiggly-faced Cthulhu mother frigger. And he's a bugger. His temple ain't so scary. Not anymore. And his little guardian lady, she ain't so scary. But he has some pretty nasty techniques for just slapping you in the face. You got to fight his tentacles. What I'm going to do here, if we get to him, is not a guide on how to kill Lagon, because I have not watched one and I don't know how to kill Lagon. I've done it. I think I'd sort of figured out how to do it. I've seen a couple of other people streaming it. Figured out by context that there are some things you want to dodge because they will kill you. And on my experience of doing it the first 3 or 4 times, they all did kill me. I know what they are. I'm not necessarily great about dodging them still, or knowing when they're telegraphed. So we'll see how that goes. His normal attacks I think we're going to be pretty robust against with our stacking setup. I do think there's a good chance that he might one-shot a great fat chunk of my minions each time. And we might not be able to summon the swords back fast enough if he's doing a lot of AoE damage one-shots. So we may find that our damage is just lacking, but you know, let's get there and see what happens. A lot of dexterity shards tonight. I'm not a dexterous beast. I will use them on my marksman build. So the joy of this is in, what are we on now? It's like 10 days or something before 1.0 releases. I'll be hitting the cycle. We'll be starting this all over again. We're going to play this exact same character right through from the beginning. But I understand we may be getting a few shiny tweaks with 1.0. There were some hints at, obviously better graphics have been shown on different people's streams, and I'm looking forward to those graphical improvements and hoping to holy hell that they don't challenge my rig too much, because I'm pretty much on the limit of what I can run this on already. Where are we going now? Up here, isn't it? No? Why can't I not get through? Move your tentacle. I thought it was this one. No, it's not that one. There we go. It is that one. Okay, right. Oh, that brought me right back to where I've already been. I came back to the start. Yes, I remember now. You have to go further round. You son of a bitch. But yeah, there's supposedly also other potential things like some more cutscenes in the campaign and some more interaction, which I don't know how true that is, but that would be marvellous, because playing through the campaign, again, I've played through the first 7 of 9 chapters. See what I did there, Star Trek fans. But I have played through the first 7 of 9 chapters on 5 different characters in the last 3 weeks, so I know them quite well. Gives you an idea as well as how long they actually take. You know, they don't get in the way of you smashing into endgame stuff. If you want to start monoliths,
I typically start monoliths around level 50 when I get to this stage in the campaign before the Lagon fight, because the Lagon fight's tough, or can be tough, unless you're properly geared and properly ready and all the rest. So I just ignore him and go into monoliths for like 8 to 10 levels because they're fun. See if I can get some cool gear, and then when I think Lagon will be a little bit easier, I come rampaging back through. Normally, the last time I did it, it was post 60. We are only 57. Let's just have a quick look. This is level 52, this region. Okay, so we've still over-leveled this. I don't know quite what Lagon levels to at max, but we have over-leveled this quite a bit. I think I still might be going the wrong way. This particular part of the temple gets me every time. You have to go around a certain loop to get to the one wiggly tentacle that opens. And I always forget where I'm supposed to be going. Yeah. Ah, eat my shields! Look at that! That is what that shield rush is all about. That is if you get a shield rush just perfect. And you just run through everything and you just slay it all. Like, we don't need to be killing any of this, we can just be running to the next area, but I'm having too much fun. Too much of fun. Here we go, we found it. Die, mother freakers! Do-do-do-do-do-do. Right, so little idle there, and we will go and see what Lagon has in stock for us. He's got his little lady friend first, who's going to tell us we can't go in there. She is wimpy. And then you think that you are an absolute badass when you defeat her, and you are not, because he then slaps you around. So my missus is laid up at the moment with a cold, feeling like absolute death, and with no voice and a terrible cough. And I was just thinking smugly that I thought I had avoided it. But I noticed after 2.5 hours of running my mouth, I'm losing my voice. That may be because I'm out of practice talking, which is quite unlikely, because I very rarely shut up. Or it might be because I actually got the dreaded lurgy. Time will tell. Right, I think we go this way for Squiggle Face. I'm not dying to Lagon now, right? I'm just not doing it. We died to the arena, and I'm annoyed about dying to the arena because we didn't need to. It's because I got cocky. I probably shouldn't have challenged the slightly harder version of the arena, and I also shouldn't have stood in all the goo. And I love that, because next time we're not going to do that. Next time we're still going to do all the hard versions of the arena, I think, but I don't think we're going to stand in all the goo. We're going to behave ourselves and try and strategically kill stuff. But I am not dying to Lagon after a failure tonight. Although, tonight we've died once, and we died in round something or other of the arena, a game mode I've never tried before. In the first stream, we went into the easiest zone in the game, and I died 4 times or 5 times. Yeah, that was pretty brutal. Hey! Good to see you, Jellyfish. If you've already gone, I appreciate you very much, mate. It was good to see you on, and good to chat to you in a weird and remote way. We will catch up in person very, very soon. I miss you, buddy. Right, where's Squiggle Chops? Oh, we got a level, didn't we? Oh, in fact, we got more than a level. Right. That's Lady Lydia, whatever she's called. She can bugger off. What were we doing? We'd capped that. So I think we're just going to scale this up to max for now, because it's all going to get there in the end. Right. Now, 2 things happen. One, I get another shield, which does scale that back up in terms of mana cost, but he's now got a sword. Look at that, my manifested armour has a Titan sword, and I'm up to 6 shields. That's hilarious. Right, we are going to do some damage. Hello lady, I really like you. Ah, sorry, I mean I'm going to kill you. Kill you with my power. Right, let's see how... Oh my god, those shields are freaking epic. If only the shields did damage, we would be winning this game. However, I need swords instead of shields. Look at that! The whole screen wide! It's like an offensive line in the NFL. This is amazing. Right.
I am losing my patience.
I didn't even watch the Super Bowl, which, you know, is not like me, but...
You're a fool.
I don't think I've watched it in a couple of years, but we're going off on tangents now. We're busy killing... I don't know why I want to call this woman Lydia. I'm pretty sure that's not her name. I think I'm just thinking of useless sidekicks from Skyrim. Right. Da-da-da! Boom. Right, here we go. Let us see how difficult Lagon actually is. This will be interesting. Right. Manifest armour is up. Shields are up. Let's go and talk to the jolly old bugger. Oh, oh, oh. Right, we do not want to get hit by that freaking I-beam. Like, the one in the middle there is not a problem. And he can punch me all he wants and stun me, that doesn't bother me too much, but that I-beam is... I think it's a one-shot kill. I mean, there might be... Whoa, okay, yeah it is. Shouldn't have teased Lagon. Let us print screen on that. I think we might use that as our backdrop from here on out. It's not a difficult fight. Like, I mean, looking at his tentacles go down, we've got the DPS for this fight. That's the thing. It's a DPS check. Can you kill him before you inevitably miss one of the dodges? But it would have been very nice if we hadn't been hit by that. And I can't quite remember the best way to not get hit by it. I think you want to stand on the inside of these, and then when he starts to do... See, he does it that way, it's a real problem. Oh, there we go. Oh, we skipped it that time. I don't want him to stun me and do it. Whoa! Oh shit, he's killed my dude. I hadn't... Oh no, yeah, now he has. Now he has. No, I summoned another dude, that's why. Right. Whoop. Okay, we're good. Shields up. Oh dear, okay, shield does not stop me from the stun. Let's get out of the way of the I-beam. And we're going to have to come back and do a whole of this again after another stage, but the next stage is not as bad as this by any stretch of the imagination. Right, the I-beam's coming this way, and then we... Oh my god, we were so close to death there. I'm not as solid as I thought I was, but I think that's just meant to be that beam is a one-shot kill, and you just don't fuck up and get on the wrong side of it. Apologies for bad words. I'm concentrating and my language skills are not quite as good as they should be, and I am less eloquent and more sweary. Right, he's going to do that, and then he's going to do this, which I think... Ah, here we go. Oh, here we go. Ah, right, we've got to phase 2. That's good. So I'm pretty sure now all we need to do is kill all of the tentacles, or do enough damage to him via tentacles. I don't know quite what the trigger is, whether it's number of tentacles killed or damage done to Lagon, before he goes back into that original phase, and we just have to not get one shot for a little while longer while we slap on tentacles, and then we're done. I will consider this a pretty good success if we only die once to Lagon, because I did it at level 58 with my paladin build, and I died like 10 times. To be fair, I was learning the fight then as well. I was teaching myself the fight. I know the fight slightly better now, but still, it would be very nice to not die again in the next phase, because then we'd have to do all this again. Oh, I think we're going back. There we go. Through, shields up. Ooh, okay, I got the shields up in time, and run. Run, that's I'm going to say that looks like an I-beam. That's an I-beam. Oh, we nearly lost the dude, but we didn't. That's good. And I-beam. Nope. I thought that was an I-beam, but it's not. This might be one now, though. There we go. Whoop. Summon the shields, prepare the I-beam. Oh, we've lost our freaking forge dude. That's our DPS dropping off. We have, however, got 11 swords against him, which shows that the current sword meta is working relatively well against single target bosses, which I like. I'm pleased with that. We're capped again now at 12, so I think swords might be the way to go. I don't think we necessarily need the final node. Yeah, take that! One death to Lagon. And once we reminded ourselves of that pattern, we nailed it. I'm pretty happy with this build. It's coming together quite nicely. Talk to me, you big slimy sea beast.
Enough. I have grown tired of this. Your skills entertain me, and for that you shall live. Now why have you come here?
Rahe has killed Heorot, which if you've not played this game before, sounds inconsequential, but it's not.
He has? The brash bird. I think Majasa would be next, if Rahe might do me a kindness. Liath might have mentioned such violence. It's far more entertaining than her talk of trade routes.
Will you give your blessing to the Lance of Heorot? Please do.
His lance?
I have to do the arms.
Ha! So he finally brought it out again. And he gave it to such a tiny mortal. How entertaining. You're an amusing little thing, traveler. You may have my blessing.
I'm ready. He stares down at me impatiently, and he doesn't seem concerned about Rahe.
Should I be? Even that temper would never reach beneath these waves. But that bitter snake Majasa, she is exposed in her deserts.
Guess where we're going next?
I've no doubt she'll be next. That would be a shame to miss.
And Liath, I had to take her life to reach you. I killed your favourite lady.
Her life is mine, mortal.
They should so hire me to voice this dude. I have to do the arms though every time, it's difficult.
She'll take some time trapped in that rotting body in order to remind her. Make no mistake, I command everything within my realm. Your every step, your every breath.
What about Thetima and your people?
Now you sound like Liath. The people of Thetima are mundane, and any occupation of the city could easily be washed away by my storms.
Lagon has wind from all the beer he has drunk.
Come now, mortal. Your conscience is boring.
Fine, I'm going. I'm not even going to call him a washed up god. He's annoyed me and I kicked his ass. Goodbye, Lagon. I thank you for a fight in which I only died once. Well, we've done like 2.5 hours again. And we have done some Monolith of Fate. We got an arena key and we tried the arena. We've beaten the hardest boss in the campaign currently. And I am pretty pleased with that. So let us go and tell all the cool people what love us so much that we have defeated a god. And make them like us even more, although there's no desperate need to do that actually, because like we've only just leveled. We're not going to get any extra XP from doing that. We don't have any skill points to spend, we do not have any passive points to spend. I think that's a pretty good time to call the stream. Let us catch our crafting items together. We've got a one-handed axe. It's not a good base item. Good attack speed, but the melee damage is bad. Very good stun chance though. That is... actually no, it's a tier 6, not a tier 7, and it's pretty much the lowest of the range. But it's okay. I'm starting to sound like Lagon, my voice is going, but I hope you enjoyed the stream. Thank you for sticking around, thank you for those who were chatting. Good to see you all, good to see a couple of well-known faces in there. I've really enjoyed tonight, it's been great. I am going to go and relax my voice and drink another beer. Goose out. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.